My name is Denise Smith, and I am the Director of Customer Relations with Acumen Fiscal Agent. Joining me is Cicely Rainingbird, Aries' mother and biggest fan. We wanted to tell Aries' story because, as we know, self-direction can be a difficult service system to navigate. But with it, families are able to bring their loved ones home to live in their community and with their families. Today is going to be a pretty unstructured interview. I'm just going to be asking Cicely some questions. We'll see where the questions lead. But at the end of the day, we hope that other families, especially families from the tribal nation that are living on reservations, can see how self-direction can help bring their loved ones home that have been removed from the home and living in group homes or out-of-state institutions. So just starting with Cicely, can you tell us a little bit about you and your family?
Hi, yes, there's me and my husband. We have 5 kids. We raised 5 children together. Ari and Jerem are our oldest, and we already had them before I met my husband. So when I met him, and he took to the boys right away, and it's just been a whirlwind. Trying to keep our family together, because then right away Ari had gotten sick with leukemia, and in the process of all of that, we welcomed our third oldest, Alex, and the twins, Hayden and Hunter.
How old are they, your kids right now, all of them?
Ari's 27, Jerem is 25, Alex is 21, and the twins are 18.
And so at this particular time, Ari is the only one currently living at home. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, the other ones are kind of off, in and out, like they'll pop in sporadically and stuff. But yeah, pretty much it's this area, and he's content with that.
So Ari got sick and with leukemia, and he was in and out of hospitals during that time.
Yeah. So when me and my husband met in 2000, about 4 months after we had met, Ari had gotten diagnosed with leukemia, and so from October, Thanksgiving, he got to come home and spend Thanksgiving at home, and then we had to go and spend the rest of the duration. Probably he didn't get out till the next year, August of 2001. He was finally able to move home, but I think he was in the hospital from December to May.
And he was in the hospital in Denver?
Yeah, in Denver at the Children's Hospital, yeah. Yes.
So you were traveling back and forth between Denver and Wolf Point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he was in there for like the first part of till July or August of 2001 when we got to move home. But yeah, for the next like 2 years or so, we were making trips back and forth to Denver for doctor checkups and follow-ups and stuff. And that was one of the things that one of the psychiatric doctors that he was seeing had told us, that he was going to need to be in a group home.
That point. So before he was diagnosed with leukemia, was he showing any developmental delays or any delays in anything?
He was fine. Like, he was just a normal 5-year-old boy. Like, when I first met my husband, they already had them, and he butted heads with Joe for a while there. He was just like, I don't have to listen to you, and I didn't know that Joe was just telling me that, yeah. And he was like, I didn't know Ari was like that, as a little 4-year-old. He just had that feisty attitude where.
So after the bout with leukemia is when he started to show all the developmental delays.
Yeah. We were going to the Children's Hospital for doctor appointments, and that's what the psychiatrist had said, that our psychologist, I'm not sure, that he would need to be in that sort of setting just because he would hide, he would take off, run, like head out from us and go and hide like in a cupboard, or he would stay up all night. I don't know, just he'd be up cutting papers, all hours of the night. He was just really kind of hard to take care of him and know what his needs were.
Need continuous supervision.
Yeah, it was like he needed it like all the time, and he was getting expelled from school, or suspended, I guess, from school. He was getting sent home. He would only go to school for like an hour a day. It was to that point, and he would fight the teachers. Like, there was like from first grade all the way up till maybe 7th grade, or 6th grade, just trying to find teachers that were willing to help us. He did have a IEP through the school, and so we were able to fix that to help us with his needs. Like, okay, well, he'll only come for like an hour or 2 hours a day, but then he was getting violent. He would bite the teachers, and pull their hair. It was spitting. He'd cuss. There was just a lot of anger, or frustration. I don't know. It was, and he wasn't very. He couldn't communicate with us very well.
So how old was he when he was first moved out of the home into was it a group home? Or?
Oh yeah. So he stayed with us up until 2006, September. Around that time, he had gotten violent with me. He ran out of his medications through the weekend, and so when I got him to the clinic at IHS, his this behavioral health doctor that was working with us, he referred him out to the Billings Psychiatric Center. And then so he spent a month in there in the Billings Psychiatric unit, and then he was able to, from there, the doctors tried figuring out where to place him, where, if there was somewhere that they could send him that would help. They ended up finding a place in Texas, in Austin, Texas, and it was called the Texas Neuro Rehab Center. So he was there from October of 2006 to October of 2007.
A year then.
Yeah.
How far, just to put in perspective for other people, how far is Billings from Wolf Point from your home?
It's about a 4.5 hour drive. Yeah, it's a long
it's a long ways.
Yeah.
So he was there for a year, and then when he came back, where did he live then?
So when we went and picked him up, and we brought him, he got to come back home. Before we went and picked him up, they gave us training on how they were him. So we went down, myself, my mom and my dad came with me, and we went to Texas where he was at, and they did a couple days worth of training to prepare us for, how they deal with him, and how, try to keep that same thing going when we brought him home. And so he was home for a couple of months, just maybe 3 months. I don't remember exactly, but after that they found an opening for him in Glendive, at a youth. It was called Skyreach, a youth group home. Yeah.
Okay. And how far was that from your home?
That's about an hour and a half drive.
So
90
closer then.
miles. Yeah, a lot closer. And that was one of the things that I had wanted, was for him to be closer to home, because, like, I felt guilty for even sending him into a group home when he went through what he with his
Yes.
leukemia, and he had like a 30% chance of making it, recovering, and still being here with us. And I was just like, I'm just pushing, like giving him away. Or, like I felt like I was like, it was hard. It was very hard to come to that decision. Yeah.
So how old was he when he moved into the group home in Glendive then? 8 or 9 or older?
Yeah, he's 95, 2005, so he's 12.
About 12 then.
Yeah, he was kind of a little bit older.
Okay.
Anyway.
How often were you able to see him in the group home?
We were able to go visit him regularly. Like, they didn't have any restrictions or anything, and I would go pick him up. Every 2 weeks we would go pick him up, and we'd bring him back home, since it was only like an hour and a half drive. So he spent a lot of time at home with us, and then during holidays it would be a little bit longer.
Oh, good.
And then eventually, like, it got to the point where when he knew that he was going back, and it would be a fight. It was like he would just fight us, get mad, like, because he did not want to go back there. He didn't want to go back to Glendive. He was going to school, and he was in a routine and stuff, and it was hard. It was hard during that time, because like, what's going on? He don't want to go back. Like, why does he not want to go back? And it was pretty hard for him, I know, and we would prepare, I would call the group home before we would leave from here and be like, okay, we're on our way back with Ari now, can you make sure, like, one of his favorite staff are working, so at least, the transition isn't so hard for him to want to stay. Good. And it helped, but, it was just like putting a Band-Aid on a big old.
So did he stay in the group home until he would, because a youth group home, did he stay in there till he aged out then?
Yeah. He stayed in there till he aged out. He graduated from when he turned from Dawson,
Dawson High School.
Yeah, Glendive. And then he stayed in there until 2016, I believe. And that was like kind of around the times when he was having he didn't want to go back down there, that he would fight us when we would bring him home to visit. And there was a couple times where I just wanted to keep him home and not send him back, and it got to that point, and I had talked to one of the staff there and at the group home, and they said, well, you don't want to, like, just pull him out and keep him at home, because if you do that, they could come and take him away from you. And it's kind of like put this like thought into my mind, like, I wouldn't want any, him to, then they were like, you wouldn't have any say over anything for him, and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to get any of that stuff. And it was a staff that worked at the group home that was, I think he was kind of looking out for Ari's best interest, maybe. I'm not sure what was going on. So, like, I didn't know about the South Direction then
at all.
So
he was in a youth group home. Did he then transition to an adult group home when he turned 19? Was it a different group home, or did they change the group home and just move it more into adult services then?
Yeah, I think it was more or less like adult services to Glasgow, there was a opening. I'm not sure what the opening was. Like they just said they were able to keep him and he'd be able to move to Glasgow. And I guess he ended up living with the lady that kind of his foster mother, I guess.
So was he was moved out of a group home into a foster home, or it was still a group home?
It was, so he moved from the group home in Glendive, the one in Glendive that he was at.
Okay.
He moved to Glasgow, and the way they had, I guess they kind of set it up so that he was staying with the foster parent.
Okay.
And she was taking care of him. He had a room there at her house. He was the only one staying with her. And then in the morning, she would take him, walk with him to the day center. They had a day center there, or they do have one, Milk River.
Uh-huh.
So he would go there during the day and then back to his foster home in the evenings. Yeah.
Were you still picking him up for the weekends then and bringing him back during that time?
Yeah. We would, when we would go to Glasgow, it's so I live on the reservation and it's kind of a different world, I guess. We have it's just about about a 25-minute drive from here, from Oswego, Glasgow is. Okay. And then halfway between there is they call it the reservation line, and I don't know why there's a stigma with that. I guess the tribal cops, if you get stopped on the road, people are just scared of leaving the reservation because you're gonna get stopped and stuff. I don't know. It was
nerve-wracking every time you would leave.
Yeah, kind of, because no reason for it. I knew that, but like you said, just nerve-wracking, growing up with that stigma, I guess, of it.
Exactly.
And so yeah, we would go pick him up, bring him home. He would come home for visits. And then he was getting thrown in jail while he was in Glasgow.
He was.
When he would be at the day center. I'm not sure what behaviors, he was exhibiting or what was going on or anything, but it got to the point where they would, when I would call in the evening to visit him at his house, with his foster parent, they would be like, he's not here, he's in jail. And I'm just like, what? Why didn't anybody call me and tell me,
Right.
And that was one of the things that I asked if they could do, can you call me before you call the cops? Would I be able to come in, take him for a ride or try to help him, calm him down or whatever? Because I guess prior to them taking him to jail, they were taking him to the hospital all the time for his behaviors. I'm not sure, he just didn't like it there or what, but he would run away, take off from there at the day center. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what else, because they never really communicated with me, never really told me exactly what was going on. Yeah. And then I had eventually found out that they quit taking him to the hospital because they refused to see him at the hospital anymore. So they had to find another alternative.
So they chose the jail.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay.
I'm not commenting on that. Okay.
He got thrown in jail. I think the first time was in April of 2017. And then by August, I think, during their fair they have in Glasgow, he was in jail that weekend. And that was so scary because I'm just like, all of these people are coming in, and partying and all this, and they're going to get thrown in jail with him. But I know he would have probably just talked their ears off and stuff.
Very
But
scary though.
yeah, it was. I was even teasing with my brother. I was like, I'll pay you to go in jail.
To protect him.
Yeah, just to go watch and make sure everything's okay.
Oh God.
But yeah, so while he was in there at in jail, they had found a place for him in Boulder at the intensive behavioral center.
So Boulder is Montana's institution.
Yeah, Boulder, Montana. And
Right.
it happened right away. Like his caseworker, his aware caseworker, um, I'm not sure. They were gonna try to send him to, is it the one over by Missouri, Deer Lodge? I don't remember. Warm Springs.
Warm Springs, which is our
Yeah,
psychiatric hospital.
yeah. They were gonna try to send him over there, but they ended up finding an opening at the IBC in Boulder. So I went with that. I was like, yeah, I wanted to get him out of there right away. And so they transported him to Boulder, and that's more lockdown, I guess.
Mhm. It's a
The
state institution. Yep. Segregation.
Yeah, they each had their own. It was like a jail, just to me, that's how I seen it. It was just
Right.
another jail, but everybody that was in there was being served, because
Mhm.
they had a disability or something.
Or what they considered intensive behaviors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was more okay with that, because at least, the people that were working with him had an understanding, or should have had an understanding.
Mhm.
But we experienced I guess like resistance, maybe, um towards wanting to help. um he had ended up in because all we want is our kids to be safe, like, no matter what.
Right.
But and even in there, like, I didn't know that they had put him in a chair, and he was in there. They had him in there from like at least about 3 or 4 hours, like, in a room, and um just like I said, you want to keep your kids safe. And you have people saying, well, this is wrong, they shouldn't have done this, and this is wrong, and they shouldn't have done that, and like, you don't, myself, I never want anybody to get in trouble, like, because I wouldn't want to get in trouble, or I wouldn't want anybody being mean to my kids or
Yes.
anything. So I always try to, like I said, I always try to treat people the way I want to be treated, or treat kids the way that I want
Your
my kids
children.
treated. Yeah. And
Exactly.
when it doesn't happen like that, you kind of just I've learned to just let it go, and not try to um get mad, like, because it's real, like, it's real, that prejudice, like, um not wanting to help somebody because
Of their color, of their ethnicity. Did you feel that there was prejudice at Boulder?
um not so much there, just like with one individual, like
At the other place?
in Boulder. Yeah, there was
Only in
another.
Boulder?
Yeah,
Okay.
it seems like there's probably one in every one in every group.
No.
But yeah, and yeah, she had sent him home. He was able to come home on visits when he was in Boulder. We would go pick him up, and he had a ankle monitor
Okay.
on his leg. and they would send home the screwdriver for us to take it off of his leg. And they didn't. I asked the lady for it, and she was like, "Do they let you do that?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, like they always send it back with us, so I can switch it back and forth, on each leg or whatever." And so she kind of like didn't really want to give it to me, and he was going to be home for like 2 weeks because it was like Thanksgiving.
Oh wow.
And then so yeah, the thing. I didn't have the charger either. They didn't send the charger back either. So he and the screwdriver wouldn't take it off of his leg. We couldn't get it off. And then they were calling me that night. They were like, the monitor is going off. You need to charge it. And I'm just like, I don't have a charger. And we were already like 3 hours away, about 3 hours away. So
how far away was home from Boulder?
We were in Havre at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, about a 3-hour drive.
A 3-hour drive.
And then,
but you had how many more hours to drive?
Then, yeah, we were living in Havre then.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah, we had moved to Havre to I moved to Havre to try to get him into the day center over there. I wanted to try to get him enrolled over there. And then I was going to college too. I was taking classes. I was thinking I can do this, but it was hard. I was like, maybe not.
Too much.
Yeah, it was trying to get him into the like kind of like everything's. I feel like all of my life has always been just like centered around Ari, trying to help him and and him being home now with us. I'm just like, I feel like I can breathe and relax, and not have to worry about other people trying to, take care of him while they're still trying to live their lives too, So I mean.
So how long was he in Boulder?
2017 to 2020. So like 3 years.
3 years then in the institution. Did he move out of the institution into another group home then? Or
no.
did he come home from there?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
There was a young man that was at the Boulder that had helped us. He was really helpful in getting Ari back home with the self-direction and everything. Yeah. Because then once, like the lines of communication were, set up, like this is who you need to talk to, and this, everything just like slowly started falling into place. So I was able to.
So once we had the first phone call as a team meeting, and we were introduced to Acumen when that started.
When he was in Boulder, yeah. And I had talked with everybody. Yeah, because I guess for me it was kind of like I was worried that if I bring him home, I'm gonna be cutting him off from getting help or whatever, like how at the group home when the guy had said, like if you take him home, they'll be trying to take him away from you, like you might get him taken away or something. And so there was kind of that scared that I'm not sure if I can do this. If I do this, I'm gonna be,
alone.
Alone, not have any help or anything. But it's just, I guess it's just up to each individual. What you're willing to do, what you're willing to go through, what you're able to understand and comprehend and figure out, because it's
so what was the most challenging aspect of the self-direction? Was it the enrollment? Was it just getting through the referral process? If you were told, you've been self-directing now
since 2020. Yeah,
3 years now. Wow.
October. The hardest part Oh, I don't think any of it was really hard. Like maybe just like getting employees, like getting people to work, like getting them set up, filling out all the paperwork, because then on their end they need the documentation. They need their social security card, they need their birth certificate. The people that are wanting to work. And like on the reservation, it's kind of, you see that a lot. People don't have that. They don't
Their
have those
documentation.
documentations that they need.
Yeah, they
At
have
least
their tribal. Yeah, do they? Because we also fiscal
yeah,
agents
the
also look at
tribal
the
ID.
tribal IDs,
Mhm.
so that. But it's the
Yeah,
birth
different thing.
certificates. It's the other things.
Social security card. Yeah.
Driver's license.
Driver's license.
So finding and hiring and keeping staff has been
Mhm.
very challenging. Your family has been a huge support
Yeah.
with, I mean, your children, your husband, they've all, because of the allowance of family members to be employees, that's been a huge support, right?
Yeah, it's helped my children to be able to like be able to have a money, like an income, and then
Mhm.
they're able to support themselves, or have that understanding of like financial responsibility
Mhm.
and getting a paycheck, earning
Right,
it, and like having a job. That
exactly.
really helps, because here the jobs are very hard to come by, and driving from Fraser to Wolf Point is like a 20-minute drive, and that's like gas every day, like going back
Mhm.
and forth, and this really helps because the kids are already here, when they were in high school. Now they're
Mhm.
all like grown up and they're not here
Yeah,
anymore. But yeah, like that really,
support.
helps a lot. And with Ari too, like it's just been awesome watching him like grow, watching him, not be in that setting of the group home setting and the institutional setting. They get up at they have breakfast at 7, and they have their lunch at noon, and then they have their dinner at 5, and they have snacks and stuff. And um we kind of got used to that when he was in the hospital in Denver. So for me, it was kind of almost normal, I guess, for him, because
Uh-huh.
he was already, had already gone through all of that.
Right.
But yeah, like he just wanted to be a part of, he was missing out on everybody else growing up and stuff, and being able to, that had to have been hard, living in the group home and the Boulder setting too, because he was seeing these people go home every day, and
Mhm.
they would come to work every day, and if they didn't come to work that day, when they were his favorite staff, that was like probably set his whole day off, and
Probably. Yeah.
there was just like so many um unknowns and that were thrown in that affected his behaviors too. That
Absolutely. So we talked a lot. You talked a lot about his behaviors, his running, his biting. I mean, some of the behaviors that he had since he's been home. Have you had to deal with any of, has he exhibited those behaviors or?
when he first moved home, the first October, November, December, January, February, first six months or so, it was pretty intense. Like, uh, I guess, the transition, I think, is what it was,
Yeah.
because
And
he
his
was
medic,
used to leaving. He was used
right.
to just coming home, stay for a couple days, couple weeks, and then going back home. But yeah.
And also there was a medication adjustment, right? Didn't they take him off of or reduce his, some of his medication?
yeah, they were able to get him off of some of his medications, and that made a huge difference because it was making him more stimulated. The medication, it seemed like to me, after he was home, it was like after he would take it, he would be like ready to be on a fight, or just got him wired up or something. I don't know. But yeah, the medications was a huge.
So do you see any of that? He's been home now for since 3 years.
He's like a completely different kid. He still has his moments where he does get mad and stuff. He does.
Don't we all?
Yeah. And that's what my husband tells me too. He's like, "Oh, behave," when I try to like complain or something. He'll be like, you get hungry too, or yeah. But yeah, I'm so thankful to have him home because he's able to experience, all of the things that my other children had experienced growing up. He missed out on all of that, being in the group home and the institutional settings. Now he's able to just like relax, and he enjoys it. He loves being home.
He loves being home. So I know one of the goals, we talked about one of the goals you had is that you had found like a home, a trailer for him that we were looking at possibly him being able to move and live independently, but then gas prices and all those kind of things hit. Is that still a future goal for Ari?
Yeah, so like, well, actually, like he does have a house. It's in Fraser, Fort Peck Housing Authority. Like,
okay,
if you're an enrolled member on the reservation, you can apply for the house, and all you need to do is have income. And so I filled out the application and everything, and he got a house, and there's a lot of stuff that, that we need to have set up for him, people that are going to work with him, that are going to be able to stay with him, because he wouldn't be able to stay by himself.
Right.
But like during the day, we would take him over there and he would just hang out on his, we had a TV in there, a couch, and he has a table and kitchen stuff, and
a home.
It's just, yeah, it's a home. Yeah. And we just got it. I think he got it like in May, maybe. But we can't get him to go over there sometimes. We haven't really he don't really like being away from us.
He wants to be, wants to be with you, right?
Yeah.
What kind of things does he do during the day?
Oh, we love taking him to the wellness center. He'll go and ride his bike. It's a stationary bike. He just sits on it, and then it has like a little window on the top part, and a little kind of lip that he sets his phone on. So he watches his movies or whatever he wants to watch while he's just sitting there pedaling this bike. And he goes for like about 7 miles. He'll go for like a long time. And everybody that is there, like, it's upstairs. They have an upstairs and a downstairs. So when we go there with him, we'll go downstairs and sit in the sauna, and he'll sit upstairs on his bike and ride his bike. And when he wants something or anything, he'll just come down and tell us. So like, just so many positive things that you can see him growing a lot.
Exactly.
And then we will go to the church, and he'll kind of like volunteer, clean and stuff like that, just so that he, knows that we need to help and stuff. And so he'll go in and get the garbages out of the garbage can and stuff. And we'll go and find things for him to do, basketball games. this is the first year we haven't had to attend any basketball games because the kids are out of school. So yeah.
I'm sure he misses that.
Yeah, that's what I think Joe misses it too.
The social interaction. Exactly.
Yeah. He loves basketball. But yeah, we'll probably check out the tournaments this weekend.
Excellent. So, and then you've been able to finish your degree.
Oh yeah, that's
huge.
I guess I always kind of like held myself back just because I always felt bad, like that Ari, you know, I couldn't have him home with me and stuff. And I think I was kind of, for me, it was kind of like depressing, I guess. And so, after we moved him home, I was able to actually like finish my 2-year degree because he was here. You know, I mean, it was chaotic and everything, but you know, I didn't have to worry about him. He was home.
Right.
Because like
So your
before I
degree is
would be
in what?
calling him. Huh?
Yeah. So your degree is in what?
Oh, I got a business technology degree, a 2-year business technology degree.
So cool.
At the community college here. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Is there anything else we're going to wrap this up?
Oh,
what message would you have for other families?
I would say that if you can, if you're looking into direct self-direct care, that it's worth it. I'm thankful for it. But you know, it's not going to be easy. You need to put in the work, but you know, you love that person. You're willing to do anything for them, you know, and one of the main things is just communicating, you know, talking to people, trusting that somebody, you know, has the same intentions that you do, you know, like that you want to help, and not to give up, just keep pushing forward because there is light at the end of the tunnel.
There is. Thank you, Cicely. Bye for now. Bye for now.